Imagine finding out that your absolute most trusted coworker is secretly a supervillain, like the friendly one who always helps you out of a jam.
Right, the one who always remembers your birthday, things like that.
Exactly. Well, you're probably familiar with Ted Bundy, so you already know the grim statistics and the whole monstrous double life. But for this deep dive, our mission is to bypass the true crime basics. We really want to dig into the bizarre legal maneuvers and the psychological deflections that defined his final days.
Yeah, we are looking at a really fascinating cross-section of his downfall today. We're drawing from the 1985 Florida Supreme Court appeal documents, his final interview transcript with Dr. James Dobson, and firsthand observations from Ann Rule's book, The Stranger Beside Me.
And the dissonance that Rule highlights in that book is just crucial. I mean, in 1971, Bundy was literally working a suicide crisis hotline alongside her.
He was actively saving lives.
It's the ultimate weaponization of empathy, you know?
Right.
He used that insider knowledge of human vulnerability as camouflage.
Oh, absolutely. But when that camouflage finally slipped, the legal battle to put him away involved some highly questionable tactics by the state.
Right, because during the Kimberly Leach murder trial, prosecutors hit a huge wall with an eyewitness named Clarence Anderson.
Right. He saw Bundy leading the young victim into a van, but he just couldn't recall the specific details.
Yeah.
So to force a breakthrough, assistant state attorneys actually resorted to having social workers hypnotize him.
Which sounds crazy now.
It does. And under hypnosis, Anderson suddenly produced these incredibly vivid details, right down to the victim wearing a blue football jersey with the number 63 or 68.
But relying on hypnotically induced memory in a courtroom is, well, it's incredibly dangerous. The Florida Supreme Court ultimately ruled that this kind of testimony is per se inadmissible.
Yeah, which in legal terms means it is automatically thrown out, regardless of the context. The defense doesn't even have to prove that the specific session was flawed. The method itself is inherently barred, much like a polygraph test.
And the underlying mechanism there is confabulation. When you put a subject under the intense pressure of hypnosis, the brain acts like an aggressive autocorrect.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it panics at a blank space in its memory, guesses the missing information to please the hypnotist, and then saves that newly generated fantasy as a hard fact. It practically overwrites the original memory.
Which creates a massive legal headache. I mean, the highest court threw out a key piece of eyewitness testimony, yet Bundy's conviction was upheld anyway.
Wait, really? How did they manage that?
The legal mechanism at play relies on the sheer weight of circumstantial evidence, basically overriding a tainted element. The court determined that even without Anderson's testimony, the remaining forensic proof was just overwhelming.
Ah, like the victim's type B blood found on the carpet of Bundy's stolen van.
Exactly. That, combined with his desperate flight from police, which indicated a clear consciousness of guilt, so they decided the tainted hypnosis would not have changed the jury's verdict.
Wow. Okay, so with his legal escape hatches welded shut, his strategy shifts entirely. Just 17 hours before his execution in 1989, he sits down with Dr. James Dobson and pivots his narrative one last time.
Right. He claims his violent urges were entirely fueled by an addiction to hardcore pornography and alcohol. He described it as this uncontrollable destructive energy that just eroded his inhibitions.
Which is quite the pivot.
Psychologically, this looks like a classic coping mechanism. Even the worst offenders often try to contextualize their crimes within broader societal issues, blaming media or addiction. By framing himself as a normal person infected by an external force, he's trying to salvage some small shred of humanity before he dies.
See, here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on the salvaging humanity angle. Looking at his lifelong pattern of behavior, this feels purely transactional to me.
Transactional? How so?
He deliberately chose a prominent conservative psychologist for this interview. Blaming adult media wasn't about his soul. It was a calculated tactical move to give a specific political demographic exactly what they wanted to hear.
Hoping they would champion a stay of execution.
Exactly. He was trading a convenient scapegoat for more time.
That paints a much darker picture of his final hours. Whether it was psychological delusion or sheer manipulation, I think this deep dive highlights the profound unreliability of the systems we trust. We want to believe our intuition can spot a monster, but charisma easily blinds us.
And we rely on the justice system to establish facts, yet human memory can be literally rewritten by the authorities themselves. It forces you to question the very tools you use to judge reality.
It really does.
So as we wrap up, here's a thought for you to examine on your own. Did Bundy actually believe his own final narrative?
Did he genuinely convince himself that media and alcohol were the architects of his violence?
Right. Or was this simply his ultimate, most desperate performance? One last mask worn for an audience of one, trying to manipulate his way out of the electric chair.